Going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Hurt Business Podcast. My name's Fair Sharari, and today I'm joined with a special guest, not Josh, but a special guy, man, in the local scene of Boston, another podcaster slash interviewer slash content creator, whatever you want to call it,
Yes, sir.
Chris from Caged In.
Hey, man, thanks for having me, bro. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for joining me. And we both had the pleasure of being at Cage Titans 55, was it, this past Saturday
Yes,
in
sir.
Plymouth, and uh, I had the time of my life, man. It was my first ever Cage Titans in person, uh, and I felt like anywhere in the arena, no matter where you were sitting, you had a good view, and that's you can't say
Exactly.
that about all the venues. But what stands out to you, man? What was your favorite part of the night?
Oh, I just love the atmosphere that Cage Titans brings to every event. Like you mentioned the arena, the Plymouth Memorial Hall. There's not a bad seat in the house. It has that like Coliseum gladiator type feel where even like in the second section and even the third section all the way up top, it's still just all stacked over each other.
Right.
So all the action's just right on top of each other, and the building gets super loud. The fights are always amazing. As far as this event, man, I would even me just walking around talking to everybody, like there's a lot of people being like, this is one of the better Cage Titans events that we've ever been to, and the fights were insane. Some of the craziest moments I've seen come out of Cage Titans happen in this event
Easily.
as well. So I'm glad that you got to experience your first one. I'm sure you got the itch now, and I'm sure I'll see you back in the building again, man. But I tell everybody the same thing. Try to get all my friends to come out because I only live like 30 minutes outside Plymouth. So I tell all my buddies, I'm like, yo, you guys got to come to Cage Titans, man. You love fighting. You'll have the time of your life. You go, even if you don't like fighting, you go make a night out of it, man. There's all the stuff to do outside Plymouth as well. So you go watch some fights, have some beers, hang out with the homies, and enjoy the product that Cage Titans puts on for you, man. And they never disappoint. It's what tell everybody.
Yeah, and they really don't. And I heard Mike this week say something like, "There's no show like Cage Titans," and you kind of hear that all
Mm-hmm.
the time, right? Every promoter is gonna say that. But like when I was there, I was like, he was for real. Like he was speaking facts. There were so many different
Mm-hmm.
moments where the moment just got so like the energy just filled up the whole room, and I jumped out of
Mm-hmm.
my seat just screaming. And it was
Yeah,
like I
man.
never do that. I'm usually a quiet, reserved guy, and I'm out
Right.
of my seat on all fours, just yelling my brain out. And I
Yeah,
had the
man.
time of my life, man. And I think it was 16 of 19 finishes or so.
Yeah, it was a lot of finishes on this card. I think the main card might have been all finishes with the pro fights. Looking at it, I don't see any decisions. So yeah, man, I think there's a lot of finishes on these cards, and the one thing that I tell everybody too is they look at the card, they see that there's a lot of fights on the card, like, oh, it's gonna be such a long night.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't understand like how fast Cage Titans rolls these fights over. It's like one ends and the walkout for the next one's happening. You know what I mean? So there's not a lot of downtime. Um, it's amazing, just the energy never dies out because they keep the fights coming one after the other, and the place gets loud, man. And there's some of the biggest pops I've heard from the crowd happened on this card too, man. So it was an amazing night. The next one, Cage Titans 56, October 29th. Uh, if anybody's thinking about coming, just come out, man. It's a blast.
Yeah. Yeah. You got two stamp of approvals in this podcast. I'll
Hell
definitely
yeah.
be in attendance.
Yes, sir. You'll see me there.
I'm counting down until then. But you talk about the pop from the arena, and one guy that I seen you interviewed this week who had
Mm-hmm.
maybe one of the bigger pops,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. J himself.
Yeah, man.
So
Jay
tell me.
Curley. So this kid Jay, man, I got affiliated with him through Jojo Giannetti. They both trained together over at BTT Taunton. Jojo had amazing things to say about this kid. If you heard my interview with him, he's a big regional wrestler, very successful high school career. He wrestles in college now at a school in the area. Um, this is his first amateur MMA fight. He's 0-0 coming into the Plymouth Memorial Hall on a card full of guys that have been doing this for a while, and makes his the dude steps out and the crowd goes crazy, man. The loudest pops of the night for a kid that no one's ever seen fight before. And he turned out, man. He went through a little adversity in the first round. He got clipped, but he
Mhm.
bounced right back and ended up finishing the second round. And once he got that finish, the place was even louder than it was on the walkout, man. It was insane.
Yeah, it definitely erupted. He turned around through the mouthpiece. I'm sure
Yeah.
like he was just overwhelmed with joy. That probably felt
Mhm.
like, the greatest moment.
It
But
was
I was doing
electric, man.
Yeah, I was doing some research because I seen your interview and I was like, wow, who
Mhm,
is this kid? So like coming into it, I had my eyes out. I've
mhm.
Jojo Giannetti, he's a friend of the pod. He's come on a few times, so he's
Yes, sir.
mentioned him here and there.
Mhm.
So I had my eyes out, and he did not disappoint at all. I wasn't expecting
Absolutely.
that pop either, if I'm being honest.
Mhm.
Uh,
The best part about these 0-0 guys, man, is you never know what to expect. So you go in with kind of low expectations because it's like this is the first one, and then when you get a turnout like that, it's like okay, this is a kid I got to keep my eye out for. And then the next time you see him on a card, you're like, that's that guy Jay Curley from Cage Titans 55, and then you got your eyes open for him again.
yeah, yeah, he's definitely turning into one of those guys, right? That you want to see fight.
Hmm.
In wrestling is probably the best background to have when coming into MMA, right? I mean,
Exactly.
of all the
Yeah, I
of all the
agree.
different skill sets, wrestling is probably the most grueling part of it.
Hmm.
Uh, another young guy who got a massive pop in the amateur scene, my buddy Dan Walsh, uh,
Yeah.
put
Only
off that
dance.
only dance. He had like, from my vantage point, there was three big massive signs. He had two of
Hmm.
them,
Yep.
and
I was standing right by the one that was on the floor,
mm,
on that first section, the big only Dan's one on the on
yeah,
the on the right side of the cage. I walked in and I was like, man, this guy Dan really does fill the place up, bro.
easily he had probably uh easily the biggest pop in the amateur scene. We talked about Curly, but
Hmm.
Dan's was crazy, man. And the way he finished his fight, as fast as he finished that fight, was
Hmm.
you gotta be, oh, there goes that man.
Yeah, dude, he's a problem. He's 2-1 now, amateur scene. He's still super, super young, super talented. He did have I believe it was 2021 amateur fight of the year versus Jake Kasky, who was on this card as well. So the kid's been through the exciting fights and the quick finishes, and then now he comes in and he gets you a first round finish with that beautiful triangle is amazing, dude. And he's a super emotional guy too. You could see him in the cage, and then
Yeah,
in the press room afterwards, he was the same way. Just a wicked nice kid. I talked to him outside the cage as well when he was done with his media stuff. Me and him were just chopping it up. Just one of the nicest guys I've ever talked to on my show, and I'm honestly super excited to have him back on and see him back in the cage again, man. He's the man.
yeah, easily is, man. And he's a fan favorite, Dan favorite, some
100%.
may say.
Yeah. Some may say.
Yeah, and then his two wins, he got one by a triangle, like you said, one by KO. So like
Hmm.
he got the best of both worlds. We almost don't know what to expect.
Yeah,
Uh,
and the fight that he lost was versus Marcel Romero, who's an amateur champ for Cage Titans right now too. So the guy, in his three amateur fights, he's acquired a lot of experience and fought some really tough guys. So it's just gonna work out for him in the long run too.
yeah, hell yeah. And I think in the media thing, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but he called for a strap shot soon, didn't he?
I think he did. He did.
Yeah, that's
I think he
entertaining.
deserves it, bro. He's just that type of guy that like I said, he brings the crowd every time.
Yeah,
Cage Titans loves those guys that bring their fan bases out, and Dan's keeps getting bigger every time, bro. So and he trains at some of the best gyms, man. He trains with Lozons, and he trains over at US MMA. So he's got a lot of good people around him, man. He's doing all the right things.
amen, amen. Exciting future for the young Dan Walsh. But as
Hell
we
yeah.
jump into this main card here, the first one was the amateur middleweight title fight. Another guy you interviewed on your show, Caged In.
Mhm.
Just a quick plug right there for you. Uh,
Shout out,
Dave,
shout out.
Dave Burke. What can you tell me about Dave?
Dude, Dave was one of those guys I didn't know what to expect from him. He's so early in his MMA game. I think he's been training for 8 months MMA. He's 2-0 coming into this fight. Both of them were early finishes in the NEF circuit. He took this fight on short notice. Jadoffer, his opponent, something happened with him. So David stepped in on short notice. Um, and like David told me, bro, his pace and his the way he starts fights, he has that wrestling background as well, and it's always go 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 100%. And Jadoffer is more reserved and he's more laid back. So I was very excited to see how this fight was going to play out. I didn't know if David was going to be able to be that successful that fast, but he silenced all the people that were there for
Yeah,
Jadoffer, and I talked to him after the fight as well. I talked to him in the cage. He goes, "Yo, these guys." They just don't know how to handle me. And he showed it. He showed it there. He beat a guy with more experience than him. And he put him away quick. So shout out to David Burke, man. He did everything said he was going to do. And I'm excited to see him defend that middleweight title, bros. He's another one to look out for sure.
yeah, he definitely made a statement as well. 20 seconds. to a guy
Yeah,
who
is
was undefeated, right, coming into it.
yeah, I think he might have been 4-1,
Mm,
I believe. Maybe he was 4-0. I'd have to look, but yeah, Jadoffer is just one of those guys that we've seen in the Cage Titans cage a few times, and he's one of those people when you look at him, he looks like, and he is a very imposing, dominant guy, and he's very good at what he does. So the fact that David was able to go in there and put him away that fast is one of those moments that had me jumping out of my seat where I was like,
yeah,
whoa, because I'm not saying I wasn't expecting David to win, but I wasn't expecting it to be that fast.
right. Or in that fashion, right? I mean, that was
Exactly.
probably one of the better KOs of the evening.
Yeah, he put him flat on his back, dude. It was nuts.
Yeah, yeah. Now that was a unbelievable fight finish, and I ran into David at the after party situation. He seemed like a super quiet to himself
Mm-hmm.
kind of guy. So it's going to be interesting, kind of seeing how the character develops as well as the fighter
Mm-hmm.
and everything
Mm-hmm.
that goes into MMA, professional,
Exactly.
perhaps
For
one
sure.
day.
One thing he told me too when I had him on my show, he said he's gotten like he's a late start to the game, you know what I mean? So he's a
Mm,
little older than these guys in the amateur circuit. So he's like, the one thing I got to do to make a name for myself is to get in there, get finishes and get finishes fast. And he's 3-0 with three fast finishes and an amateur Cage Titans championship to boot, man. So the guy's doing everything he said he was going to do and everything he wants to do. So very excited to see what his next step is for sure.
Hell yeah. Is he a Massachusetts guy? I don't think he was. He was in Maine or something
No,
like that.
no, his gym Nostos is up in Maine.
Okay.
So he's up that way.
Sweet, sweet. Well, hopefully we see him in the Cage Titans cage in October.
I'm sure, dude. I mean, with the finish that fast, we'll see what happens, man. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah. David hit his line. The next title fight was an awesome fight, man. This fight,
Yeah.
looking back on it, I mean, the crowd did not enjoy the heavy wrestling approach Tyler presented. But
Hmm.
as the fight played out, Arthur pulled it out, man. Arthur pulled
Hmm.
it out when a lot of people were like, all right, Tyler has easily 3 rounds in the bag, championship rounds. Arthur got to get a finish. He has to stay on his feet no matter what. And
Hmm.
Tyler was pushing. He was shooting them takedowns relentlessly. Uh,
Exactly.
what was your favorite part of
Tyler,
this fight?
this was a fight that when I saw the fight card come out, this was one that I circled as a potential fight of the night. Just both these guys are very experienced. They're both gritty. They're both hard to put away. They both have fantastic fights inside the Cage Titans banner as well. So I knew that Arthur wasn't going to be easy to get to put away. I knew Tyler is a grinder. He loves that wrestling style. So just the way that this stylistically played out, I think it was a very entertaining fight. It's very close. The fact that Arthur was able to put him away at the end there was amazing. And I think for me, it lived up to everything I thought it was going to be. And it just proves that Arthur is, as good as everybody says he is, man. And
Yeah.
no slight to Tyler, man. The kid's an absolute stud. He came up a weight class to try and get that amateur champ status. He has another belt. I think, and he also has an NEF belt as well. So the kid's decorated. Um, no, no, no slouch anywhere in his game. Just ran into a monster Saturday night, man, in Arthur and Pofu.
Yeah, he really did. One that doesn't give up. No
Hmm.
matter how long this fight plays out, he was still pushing forward, still trying to block those takedowns and get his hands going. And
Hmm.
what a fight, man. This was, looking back on it, maybe the fight of the night. Would you say so? Or
Yeah, I think I would put this one up there as one of the fight of the nights. Um, what's the other one? I liked the Jake Kasky and Mike Antidormi
yeah,
fight earlier in the card. I
yeah,
thought that one, that was a very competitive fight that could be up there for fight of the night talks. But I think this one takes the cake for me as well.
yeah. That the Jake Kasky one you mentioned, that Mike Antid, how was I gonna
Yeah,
butcher his
Mike
last name?
Antidormi. It's Antidormi, as I'm pretty sure is how you say it.
Antidormi. He looked like a
Mm.
young Poirier down there, bro. Just with those low leg
Mm.
kicks and kind of staying in that stance. He looked really good,
Yeah,
man.
he was feeling himself, man. And Jake is just a brute, bro. He just wants to come forward and
Right.
put you in bad spots and take your head off. So, their styles made a great fight on Saturday night, bro. I enjoyed that one as well as one of the earlier fights on the card. We got a good one.
Yeah, one of the few that went the distance.
Hmm.
Right.
Exactly. It was one of those ones where I was like, I thought Antidormi won it with that third round, but I thought it was 1-1 going into the third round, and I think Mike took that third round, and that's what got him the fight.
Yeah, he had a great pace in that third round. He stayed in Kasky's face.
Hell yeah,
Uh,
it was a good one.
yeah, man. But moving up to the co-main. for me, this is probably I seen battles just roaming the arena around. Did you see that
It's a big
early in
boy,
the?
man.
That's a
Oh yeah.
big boy. He's
Yeah,
he's
I see him running around up there because their warm up room is at the very top of the building. So if you go to like the very top floor and then you go inside there, then in one of those rooms is where they have their big warm up room. So I know every time I've seen him fight, I always see him come out and I see him walking around that top ring up there, and I'm
yeah,
like, it's a big guy, so he catches my eye, and I'm like, oh damn, there's Brandon. He's
right.
huge, man. He's an absolute
Yeah,
unit.
yeah. He's all of 6'4" and
Yeah,
264, whatever they
yeah,
said on
bro.
Saturday. That's a
Big
big
man.
boy, big
Hmm.
man, and he fought great, man. What did you think of his performance?
I was really impressed with his performance, man. It's a guy that he had a lot of hype when he started his MMA career, and then he took some time off. Um, I think due to like family stuff. I think he was having kids and whatnot, so he was working and providing for his family. So he took some time off from the game, and then something switched where he got back into it. And these last two fights since he's been back, both early finishes. This guy he fought Joshua Marsh. I didn't know how good his wrestling pedigree was until he was talking about it at the presser, and I was like, oh, okay, so we're gonna see Battles get tested against a really good wrestler, and Battles is no slouch in the wrestling either. He's one of the better wrestlers that came out of this area. Um, so the matchup to me was very exciting, and the fact that Battles was able to get another first round finish against a guy that's 5-5 and has been around the block a little bit was very impressive to me. He's another one of those guys that's a little bit older, so I think he's trying to put the pressure on now and get these big wins and state his case to try and get up to the next level. So, and heavyweights, they're hard to come by, especially in this area. So it's hard for him to find really, really good fights, really like another top. It's hard for him to find top prospects as good as himself in the area. So it's going to be exciting to see what happens with him now. And I think he's catching a lot of eyes, especially it's hard to miss a guy that big, man.
Right. Right. Yeah, man. And it's exciting to kind of see him play out. Because has he lost in his pro career? Is he 2-0?
He does. He had one loss. He had one loss. I think he was 1-0, and then Dana White was doing his looking for a fight series. I think it was up in Maine somewhere, and Battles was like, "Yo, I got to get on that card." This is from what I haven't talked to him specifically. This is just from what I've heard around the way. He wanted to get on that card really badly, so they put him on there, and he ended up losing, and then that's when he took his layoff after that. So, he's had the shot to fight in front of the boss man. Um, and I think he deserves another one. So I think Dana White in the UFC, whether it's Contender Series or something of that nature, I think it's Brendan Battle's time to do something like that again.
Amen. Amen. Give him the call, and him already fighting in front of those big bosses. That gotta
Hmm.
play in his favor, right? He's like, almost, I've
Yeah.
been here before. I know what it's like. So might as well
Hmm.
pose the best battles I got. And that's
Exactly, bro.
exciting, man. That's exciting, especially seeing his
Yeah.
display. He got cut again. I seen one of his past fights. It was like the same way. He got sliced in his forehead and then finished
Hmm.
the first round right on top, ground and pound, as
Hmm.
Marsh
That's the way
lost
he
on Saturday.
rolls, man.
Yeah, savage,
That's
bro.
the way he does it.
He's
Yeah.
big boy, man. But
Yes,
speaking of
sir.
Dana White in the UFC, another guy they got to call after Saturday night. They got to.
Got to. Got to,
There's
man.
no reason that Jojo Giannetti, with all due respect to Cage Titans, should be fighting
Hmm.
another Cage Titans fight. The guy is
Hmm.
champ status at this point. And
Hmm.
what did you think of his Saturday night display against the 6'7" Trevor Goody?
Well, dude, that was the big storyline right there. Was JoJo's used to being that bigger guy in the 155-pound division. He's 6 foot, maybe a little over six. He's super rangy, super long, and the fact that he went up to the welterweight division, gave up all those advantages to take on being the disadvantaged fighter versus a 6'7" guy who had all the length, all the reach that, like I said, like JoJo's used to having, and the fact that he was able to deal with that the way he did, and then put him away um, after at the end of it. Well, it was in between rounds. I don't know what kind of happened with there. I don't know if something happened with Trevor's jaw, um, but the way that JoJo was able to finish that fight, I just don't see how he's not getting any type of call right now. Like it's right there, man. He deserves
Yeah,
it.
yeah, he's done it in two weight classes, and like at this point, what else does he have to prove on kind of the
Exactly.
local circuit? This is it's a guy who's pretty good, man. LFA or he called out a few different organizations champions on the mic. I don't recall the top of my head, but
Mhm.
do you the stoppage was a bit strange. You know, it looked like Trevor was like pointing in his eyes or something, and
Yeah,
then they
I
just
couldn't
called it.
yeah, I couldn't tell, why they ended up stopping it, but Trevor didn't object to it. It was obviously something that he said to the ref that ended up ultimately stopping the fight. He didn't object or try to fight it. So I think he knew that he couldn't continue, which is why the ref stopped the fight. Um, I'm sure Jojo would have loved to had a clean finish in the cage,
Right.
by knockout or submission, but nonetheless, a stoppage is a stoppage. And when you stop a guy that big going up a weight class to claim your second belt, the first guy ever in Cage Titans to hold champ status in the professional ranks, that's huge. I mean, we've seen some of the guys that have come out of Cage Titans and they've made their way to the UFC and stuff like that. So the fact that JoJo was able to do something that even those guys weren't able to do speaks volumes. And I don't see any reason why this guy shouldn't be getting a call for one of these cards, one of these UFC cards at the end of the year.
Hell yeah, man. I know they got one in MSG in November or something like
hmm
that. I'm
hmm
sure JoJo would love to jump on that, but they got
Yeah,
to get
he's
to
really
Boston too.
pushing. Yeah, I was gonna say he's really pushing for a Boston card at the end of the year. His teammate Darren Nguyen is fighting in December. They don't have a venue for that fight yet. I know he was mentioning that he would love to fight on the same card as Darren Nguyen, and then on top of that, he would love for that card to be in Boston. And I second that because we haven't had a card up here in a minute. The last one I believe was um, Chris Weidman and Dominic Reyes. I wanna say was the main event, and I attended that one. And ever since then, I was like, okay, the next time UFC comes back to Boston, I'm there. And they haven't been. So obviously, because COVID and stuff kind of threw some stuff off, but I see JoJo pushing for a UFC Boston card in December. They don't, like I said, they don't have a venue, and there's a lot of local guys that I think that they could plug into that card. Boston's been stacking up some talent lately, so
Yeah. Yeah,
hey
and
man, I'm all for it.
hell yeah. Not only just locally the talent's there, but even in the UFC, we have guys from here like Calvin Cater, Rob Font,
Exactly. hmm
New England guys who are really pushing the envelope. And we gotta get them a show here so we can show them the proper love, man.
Hell
And
yeah,
JoJo gotta be on that card. I'm rooting
100%,
for it. I'm
man.
rooting for it. I'm calling it. I'm gonna clip this. I'm gonna post it on the Instagram. We're gonna tag Dana White and the UFC and
Yes, sir.
Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard. We're gonna tell him to make it happen.
We gotta
Uh,
blow it up, man. There's no fans like Boston fans, man. We see a UFC event, we all love the UFC. We all love our local guys, and when they fight, we show up. So let's get on the TD Garden, man, in December, and let's fill that motherfucker.
let's do it. Let's make it happen. I think the
Yes,
Celtics
sir.
start up in October or something, so it might be a
hmm
bit dicey, but Celtics could skip a night. No, we gotta
Hey,
get
man.
UFC up there on a Saturday evening.
They got 41 other home games. They can leave a Saturday night off for us.
Exactly, bro. But anything else from this card stand out, jump out, things you enjoyed?
Um, dude, just all in all, the card was amazing, top to bottom. Um, I love people that come in and they start falling in love with these guys that are fighting Muay Thai as well. I was one
Yeah.
of those guys. I came in, I mean, as an MMA fan, obviously I love jujitsu and I love the Muay Thai, but I've never seen a fight like that go down before. So coming into Cage Titans and seeing guys throw on boxing gloves and shin pads and go toe to toe. I now look forward to these Muay Thai fights every time I come to Cage Titans, man. So people see the Muay Thai and they might, turn their nose up at it because they only want to see the MMA fights. But let me tell you, some of these guys are absolute studs, and these are some of the guys that you'll see fighting amateur Muay Thai and pro Muay Thai or amateur MMA and pro MMA as well. So um, those fights always get me excited. Um, and then, dude, just look at the content that we got out of this fight card, man. All the finishes that we got, the moments were amazing. You can attest to it because you were in the building. The environment's insane. And dude, anytime you get the chance to go to a Cage Titans event, I tell everybody you got to do it, man. You won't regret it.
You absolutely would not. If all Cage Titans events are like the one I attended on Saturday night, you will not be disappointed. That's an
hmm
absolute fact. And the Muay
Yeah,
Thai,
man.
just to add to your point about the Muay Thai, I didn't expect it. I didn't get a full in-depth look of the card coming into it. When I seen
hmm
guys coming out with the elbow pads and the shin pads, I was like, oh shit. And
Yeah,
then
man.
they
Full
fought their
thing.
asses off too. Those
Yes,
fights
sir.
were phenomenal. One dude who stands out because I had the pleasure of sitting right next to his mom and family.
Mhm.
Will Doolin, the Drew
Yeah.
himself, absolute
Yes.
stud, man. And his mom, when they were introducing him, was easily the loudest person in the arena.
Hell yeah, dude. I love that. I love that. I know he trains over at USMMA.
Yeah,
I have a good relationship with some of those guys out of there. Will seems like a great kid. I'm sure I'll talk to him on the show someday. Um, but I love what they're doing over there at USMMA. And yeah, that kid, Will Doolin, man, he looked like a stud on Saturday night. So I'm sure I'll be keeping my eyes out for him next time I see him on a card for sure.
yeah, same here, man. It was really exciting, and I didn't, of course, I didn't know who he was coming into it. Sitting next to his family, I was intrigued by his mom screaming her ass off, and then by the end
Hell
of
yeah.
it, me and his stepdad are jumping up and down in joy. It was a
That's so
great,
cool, man.
it was a great energy, man. So
It is awesome, bro. Like the other thing about Cage Titans too, bro, is a majority of the people that are there are friends, family, training partners. You're, you're just sitting there in your seat, brushing shoulders with people that are coming out to see, like, their son fight on a
right.
card. You know what I mean? It's cool, man. It's something that you can't get outside of like the regional scene. So it just adds another element to what makes Cage Titans great.
Yeah, and this is us going on for 20 minutes now about how great Cage Titans is. And if you're in
Hmm.
Massachusetts, you got to attend it. Even if you're 2 hours away, 45 minutes away, 15 minutes away, it's a destination for sure. They put on great shows uh,
Hmm.
throughout the
100%, bro.
state. But Chris, I appreciate your time. Before I let you go, we have a fun UFC card that I know you'll be watching.
Oh,
Uh,
of course. Of course.
Cyril Gain versus Tai Tuivasa in the heavyweight division. Uh, Give me your thoughts. You have any must picks?
Dude, this is a fight that intrigues me a lot, honestly. Tai Tuivasa is the fan favorite here. He comes out there and he knocks people out and then chugs beers out of shoes, bro. Like, what more do you want from a guy? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
he's an absolute animal. I love the guy as a fan. I just think it's gonna be a tough fight for him versus Cyril Gane, bro. Cyril Gane's good everywhere. Um, he's coming off that title loss to Ngannou. And I think Ty's shot is to put Gon away, but I don't know if Gon's gonna put himself in a position to get caught like that. So it's one of those scenarios where I'm not sure how it's gonna go, but I lean towards Gon just being the more technical fighter. I think he's more well-rounded. So I'm rooting for Ty. I want him to win. I want to chug a beer out of my shoe at 5:30 p.m. on a Saturday after Ty wins. But I don't know, man. It's gonna be exhilarating for sure. What's your takes on the fight?
Yeah, I second all those notions. Like my heart is tugging me one way, but my mind is
Hmm.
telling me one thing. I feel like the easy pick is Cyril Gain because the guy moves like a lightweight, but
Hmm.
hits like a heavyweight. So it doesn't really make sense that he's who he is in Bon Gamin. He moves so
Hmm.
well, bro. So I think that's the biggest offset to a guy with massive power like a Tai Tuivasa. And so
Absolutely.
it could be a very long night for the fan favorite who's coming in
Hmm.
at a plus 420 dog if
Yeah,
this UFC line is correct, which is
that's
crazy,
hefty. That's hefty.
right? And
I
got
might have to sprinkle. I might have to
yeah.
sprinkle a little bit.
Yeah, I tell Josh
I'm
that
a
all the
gambling
time.
man, bro. I'm a gambling man.
I see it
So,
in your bio.
yeah, I am a degenerate
Yeah.
gambler, man. Don't let the pretty face fool you.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all, man? UFC is there's nothing more intriguing to bet on than a fun UFC card, right? Because it just adds so much to it.
It does. I love it, man. It's
If
one of my favorite things to do on a Saturday.
if Cage Titans had betting lines, would you be in the stool betting?
Oh man, I think, of course I mean, I would love to say no, but yeah, of course I would.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully that never becomes a thing, man, for
Yeah,
all our
nah,
sakes, right?
literally.
But yeah, man, a super fun fight. Anything else on that card that you're super excited to see in Paris?
Oh man, let me see, man. Let me see. Paris. I know the cards. We got Robert Whitaker versus Marvin Vettori in the co-main. I'm always a big Bobby Knuckles fan. I love watching him fight. So he needs to get a win to get himself, back in line in that for that title mix. It's gonna be, and as long as Izzy's champ, it's gonna be hard for Rob to get back there. I feel like since he's already lost twice to him. I've heard some rumblings about Robert Whitaker wanting to go up to 205. So maybe that's something that happens for him in the future. But Vittori's no slouch. I think that fight right there, coupled with that main event with Gon and Tuivasa, is enough for me to be invested in the entire rest of the card. To be honest with you,
Hell yeah, man. And what you think of Bobby Knuckles, man? Do you think he actually has a chance to go to 205? I feel like all these middleweights at some point threaten that idea of moving up.
for sure, it's a little big. It's a big jump.
Yeah.
185 to 205, 20-pound gap. But I think at some point, when you're Whitaker and you're looking at the fact that realistically, you're probably not getting another title shot versus Adesanya unless he's not the champion anymore. You know what I mean? So if Pereira wins, then maybe Whitaker is like, okay, I'll take my chances at 185 again and try and get a fight with Pereira. But if Adesanya stays champ, I don't see a way where Whitaker gets another title shot. So that might be his driving force to why he goes up to 205. So I think
Mm,
there's a lot of factors in there that I think will play into his decision on what he does with his future. But these guys, I'm sure he walks around well in the 200s. You know what I mean? He's probably walking around low 200s. So yeah, he'll be the undersized guy at 205. But I think he's more talented than a lot of these light heavyweights in the UFC. So it's going to be one of those things that will be very exciting if he does make that jump for sure.
yeah. So you got Bobby Knuckles against Vittori.
Hmm.
Is that what I'm getting
Yeah,
right?
Bobby Knuckles versus Vittori is the co-main at UFC Paris on Saturday. So if he gets a W there, then we'll see what the future holds for him.
Is your pick Rob Whitaker? That was
Yeah,
my question.
I gotta go Whitaker, bro. Got to.
Yeah, yeah. I probably agree
I
with
like
that one, man.
Vittori. Vittori's a dog, man. I don't think it's gonna be an easy fight. Vittori loves to be in your face. He loves to keep the pressure and make you uncomfortable.
Yeah,
I think Whitaker's just seen it all at this point
right.
at 185. So I think he's prepared for him, and I think that he's just the better fighter. So it's just an easy pick on my side to go with Whitaker on that one for sure.
Yeah, who's coming in at the minus 230 favorite? So unless you see a
Yeah,
value there,
I'm not. I mean, I'll throw him into a parlay
yeah,
with some other guys, but
yeah,
yeah, that fight. Then there's another one too. There's actually a couple good fights. Charles Jourdain versus Nathaniel
yeah.
Woods on this card. That's a very good fight.
Banger. Yeah,
S-
Air Jordan.
Two, yeah, man, they're evenly matched. Both of them are riding a lot of hype right now. So that fight is one that I'm looking forward to as well. Um, and yeah, there's just a lot of they're keeping a lot of the European guys on this card too. And whenever they kind of put their home talent onto their cards over there in Europe, it usually doesn't disappoint. So they
Right.
always love fighting in front of their home crowd. They don't have to travel as much, so it usually works out to end up being a good card overall. So I'm very excited, and it's a 3 p.m. card for us here on the East Coast, so we get a little Saturday afternoon action as well.
Yeah,
So you can't be too mad about it, man.
yeah. A little pregame before some Saturday night festivities.
Of course, man. Of
My,
course.
my man. So tell the
Yes,
people
sir.
where they can find you, where they can get some more of this MMA brain that you got, man. You're you you're
Hey, man.
you're a wise guy, man. You know what you're talking about.
Hey man, I appreciate you for having me on, bro. I'm a big fan of what you do.
Appreciate it.
It was amazing running into you at the fights on Saturday. Hopefully, I'll see you again in October. But for anybody that's listening that wants to keep up with what I'm doing, it's at Caged In Podcast on Instagram, at Caged In MMA Pod on Twitter, and then you can all my shows on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. So you can just find me everywhere, man. But my Instagram is probably the hub to where I run things. So you can always catch me there. Hit me in the DMs and we can chop it up.
Sweet, sweet. Yeah, I'll have everything linked below, so you can find Chris himself. He's the man. Great content, bro. Keep up what you're doing. I appreciate your time tonight. Let's do
Yes,
this
sir.
again,
Hey,
man.
man.
Let's
Hey,
do a
man.
full
Anytime,
UFC
bro.
card one day.
Yeah, yeah. Hit me up, man. We'll work it out and we'll get it going, bro. I'm always
Yes,
down.